Joy from Donna Joy Coaching, and I'm also the founder of the free Facebook group called the Online Marketing Guild, or the OMG as I like to think of it. So basically, I help online marketers with practical how-to tips and implementable systems that they can use. But reason I popped on today is because even though I say I'm the how-to girl, I've actually had a few thoughts lately. And these thoughts have been going round and round in my head, and I wrote them down. I just wanted to share them. So basically three main thoughts that I've had. So it's to do with our business, our online businesses, and basically frustrations that I've been feeling within my online business, and that I'm sure that if any of you are out there trying to make money online, you've had these same frustrations as well. And maybe you've already had these revelations and moved on, or maybe you're going to relate to what I'm saying. And I'm hoping that some of you will get some pearls of wisdom out of it. So basically, the first thought that I've come up with is, we need to start small and build big. I think we all have this, we see the successful people that we're learning from, and we see what they've created, and we think that we have to have that before we can start. So, we spend all our time basically creating logos and websites and doing all this stuff that they've already got in place, but that's not where they started, and that's not where we should be starting either. We need to start small and take the pressure off ourselves at having to be an expert from day one. And basically just be people who are sharing things we're looking at attraction marketing and drawing people to us and building our team and our tribe and basically finding our peers. It's basically sharing things that we learned with people, and then as we learn more and more and more and we become an expert, and as we find our way, our logo will come to us, and now we'll create our website and all that sort of stuff. But we shouldn't be running around getting all that stuff ready first and then just ta-da, onto the stage, because we don't have an audience yet. Okay, and so that's a waste of our time and energy. We need to be creating an audience first, starting small and building big, and creating things as we find that we need them within our business. So we look at Ray Higdon, we look at Eric Worre, and we see how massive they are now, but they didn't start like that. They didn't just like born fully grown out of the womb like that. They started small. I mean, if you listen to their stories, especially Ray Higdon, he was pretty down and out when he started out into his network marketing career where he is now. So we need to be the same and not be frustrated with our development, basically. As long as we are taking small steps and we're continuously growing, we're going to get there, okay? We're on the path. So I was at work the other day. I still work 2 days a week as a dentist, and I was at work, and the telly was on in the room, and it was just the volume was off, but just the subtitles were coming up down the bottom, and it was Oprah, an interview on Oprah, and she was talking about when she first started. She first started her show, however many years ago that was, how she would turn up to work and they would have no audience. I mean, we look at Oprah now and how massive she is, and can you imagine her having no audience? No, of course she's going to have an audience, but back in those days, she had no audience. So what they would do is they would go out into the street, her included, would go out into the street, and they'd round up an audience. They'd basically be saying, hey, it's cold out here, it's warm inside, we've got coffee, come on in. And they'd be basically, kidnapping people off the street and putting them into the studio so that she had an audience. That's where we are now. We're that young Oprah without an audience. Okay, so I'm not saying we need to kidnap people, but we need to just start small and, as I said, not be frustrated by our development, and just know that if we are sharing, if we've got a voice and we're sharing our voice, we will find people who follow us, and we will find people who find what we have to say of value. And also, don't be frustrated by the fact that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You need to find your own tribe of people who relate to you, and you can relate to them and help them. Okay, so don't expect for everybody to love you straight up and to follow you and to find your words of wisdom to be what they need. There's room for all of us out there, because there are different groups of people who relate to different people, and we just need to find our tribe, basically. So start small and find a tribe. And don't be frustrated by by not being a success straight up. Okay. Now, following on from that is basically, to become the Eric Worres and the Ray Higdons and stuff. The other reason that we can't just expect to jump out of the womb fully formed and do the big, ta-da trick, is that we need to become the sort of person who could be successful to be successful. Okay, so we need to learn, we need to practice, we need to fail, we need to learn from our failures, we need to get up, we need to keep on going, we need to be persistent, we need to be investing in ourselves continuously. We need to be doing courses, reading books. We need to find mentors, things like that, to keep growing ourselves as a person, to keep growing our self-development. And that's when we can become successful. So, if I look where I am now as opposed to where I was 2 years ago, and how much more I know now and how much more value I have to give. I mean, back then I thought I knew stuff, but compared to what I know now, I knew nothing. Okay. So, and I've been doing online marketing now with my business for 5 years now. And I look at the learning curve I've had, the development I've had in the last 5 years. It's crazy. And I'm at the stage now where I finally feel that I've got value to share with people and expertise to share. And I've done things the hard way enough that I can hopefully stop people from making my mistakes as well. So you need to invest in yourself. Courses, I'm a huge FOMO person, that fear of missing out. If I do a webinar and there's a course, especially when they bring in that sense of urgency and that discount, I can't resist it. Okay, so I will buy the course and then I stack them. So I'm working through, at the moment, I'm doing 4 different courses. I'm doing my 4th Facebook marketing course. I'm doing some for my writing. Some of you probably don't know, I'm also a fiction writer and author. I've got 9 books out. So I'm doing 2 different writing courses as well. So, I'm continuously doing courses. Now, books, self-development books as well. I set time aside each day to read self-development books. And I've got a few here of my favorites to show you. So I've read this one recently. I actually listened to it and then I went and bought it. Essentialism by Greg McKeown. This is awesome book. Okay, this is a fantastic book. And it's about basically paring down to the bare minimum of what we need to do. And a big thing that I got out is how to say no to things and not feel guilty. We always say yes when we get asked to do stuff and then we resent it. But so read this book. This is fantastic. Another one, if you're in network marketing, obviously you've probably already read Eric Ward's GoPro. If you're doing any sort of online marketing, The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy is a great book. Now, I was at my primary company's convention a few weeks ago, and we had Michael McQueen came and spoke, and he's an Australian man, and he did a great speech basically about momentum within your business. But he's written some books, and this one here is basically a book about working with the Y Gen, about how to motivate them and what makes them tick and stuff. So especially in network marketing, we're getting a lot more Y Gen coming onto the scene, so that's a great book for that. And this is his book, Winning the Battle for Relevance. So this is basically about the momentum, keeping the momentum in your business. So basically, we need to keep developing ourselves, but we need to keep developing our business, because there's a law called the law of entropy. And basically the law of entropy states that matters left to themselves will always tend towards disintegration and decay. So basically, once we get to a certain level, if we don't keeping ourselves at that level, keep going, it will disintegrate. So our business will disintegrate. And if you're a network marketer, you've probably seen it within your own business. You build and build and build and build, you have a month off and your business is going backwards. So that's that law of entropy kicking in. So it involves our business, but also with ourselves. We need to continuously be growing ourselves to become that sort of person that can be successful. And self-development. If you're into networking, this is a great book, Blue Fishing. This is a book written by a very clever man. So it's basically about how to get people to do things for you by doing things for them. So lateral thinking outside the box. So he's basically, his business is organizing stuff for people. So they might come to him and say, I want to get married in the Vatican and be blessed by the Pope, and he organizes it. So that's a really good book. And the other one really good for networking is Captivate by Vanessa Edwards. And so this is basically a book about how to be the most captivating person in the room. Which is a really good book as well. Couple that I've bought that I haven't read yet. The 4-Hour Workweek, you've probably all heard of that. And Wealth Can't Wait. Okay, so these are, I've got a heap more here that I've read and that I'm getting to, but I also listen to Audible books. So when I'm driving, I listen to Audible books. When I'm at home, I read, and then if I like the Audible book, I'll actually buy it because I like to go through and highlight them. Another one that I'm reading at the moment, that's why it's not in the pile, because I'm actually reading it. This one here, The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. This is a great book. And this is a book about thinking. So it's about setting aside thinking time within your business to ask yourself the hard questions. And it's basically about taking emotion out of decision-making process so that we're making less stupid decisions. Okay. So as Keith says, nobody ever woke up and said, today I'm going to make a stupid decision that's going to ruin my life. All our stupid decisions started as good ideas. So basically it's a great book, especially if you've got a bit more advanced business. whether it's online or not. It's a great book for about how to take time out and have a think and ask yourself the questions. And we can apply this in our business, even our small businesses, asking ourselves questions, spending half an hour, maybe a few times a week, thinking about the marketing or our social media or our use of things, and asking ourselves questions and just answering those questions, and basically working on our development, but also our business's development. So another one that I've been listening to is called Ready, Fire, Aim, which is a great one. So it's basically what I was saying, you need to just get out there and start. But it talks through businesses, and online businesses would be included in this, and problems that they are going to get to within the growth of their business, and how they can overcome them. So it talks about how selling is really important, because here we are, we're online marketers, and we need to make money. And how we make money, we're going to make money by selling, not by running around creating our logos and our websites and stuff like that, by actually setting up sales funnels and selling. So that's a really good book as well. Okay, so I think that's enough books and things for you to think about. So that's number one, start small and build big. Number two, become the sort of person who could be successful. Okay, to be successful, basically. Now, number three, and this is probably the most important in a way, and maybe one that you haven't heard before or haven't thought of before, but it came to me one day when I was feeling frustrated, and basically it's that your breakthrough is your breakthrough. So we always hear people talking about how they read this or they watched that and they had this total mind shift and they had this amazing breakthrough and their business just took off. And we're all like, oh, when is my business going to take off? When's my breakthrough going to happen? And then we go and we read that book or we do that course and we don't get their breakthrough. And the reason is that, we haven't done exactly what they did leading up to that point. So we haven't read all the books they've read, done all the courses they've read, done everything they did to get to that point where they could have that mind shift that gave them that great breakthrough. That's one of the reasons that we can read a book and not have the same breakthrough as somebody else. The second reason is that we're not the same as that person. So whereas they might be working, the same as what I am, where I want to mentor people and train people and teach people and create courses and stuff for people to help people. I love teaching. So that's where my strength is. That's not everybody's strength. So if I have a breakthrough and my teaching and training business takes off, and you read the same book that I did and yours doesn't, that could be one, you're just not at the point that I was when I read that, but two, that maybe that's just not right for you. Maybe you are better suited to just network marketing and building a big team and being a leader. So our breakthrough is our breakthrough. We tend to have, maybe a big initial spurt breakthrough, like a growth spurt when we have a growth spurt. It's like, a child growing. They go through these spurts of growth. So you can have these breakthroughs and have these spurts of growth within your business, but we're always having small breakthroughs. So don't be down on yourself if you don't feel like you've had that big breakthrough, because if you look back at the progression of yourself and the progression of your business, and every time you've had a thought and you've changed something, that's a breakthrough. Okay, so don't beat yourself up about not having had your big breakthrough, because we're continuously having small breakthroughs. And I believe that our big breakthrough comes from being built on our small breakthroughs. Okay, so that's the third point, that your breakthrough is your breakthrough. And a prime example of how you can read a book and not have the breakthrough and not get the thing from it, for me, is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now, I have to admit, I didn't finish it. I think I got about 3/4 of the way through it and gave up on it, because at the very beginning of the book, he talks about how you're going to read this book and you're going to have this aha moment. And I just wasn't having the aha moment. Everyone raves about Think and Grow Rich, right? So I'm like, is it me? Oh my God, I don't get it. Am I not, I'm not seeing it. I'm doomed to be a failure forever because I don't get Think and Grow Rich. And then this other little part of me is thinking about the emperor's clothes. That story about the emperor and the tailors come to town, and they do this big story of how they can make these clothes, but only people who are pure of heart and mind can see the clothes. And they show the emperor, and of course he can't see anything, but he's not about to admit that he's not of pure heart and mind. So he gets these tailors to make him this wonderful clothing, and they spend days weaving and cutting and making and sewing. And then the emperor's parading down the street showing off his new clothing to everybody, and a little kid says, why is the emperor wearing no clothes? And everybody realizes that he's just naked. Okay, it's not that they're not of pure heart and mind, but he's been duped and he's naked. And everybody's not being wanting to admit that they couldn't see the clothing, because they didn't want to admit that there was a failing within themselves and they weren't of pure heart and mind. And that's kind of what I started to think about myself with the Think and Grow Rich. Is the emperor got clothes on or not? I'm sure the emperor does have clothes on. Enough very successful people rave about that book to let me think that it's really just me. And I need to reread that book. Maybe now I'd get it. So maybe just at that point in my development, I just didn't get it. So maybe if I read Think and Grow Rich now, I'll get it. But so you can see, your breakthrough is your breakthrough. You won't get it when I get it, when someone else gets it. You got to get it when yourself. But to get that breakthrough, you need to keep going. You need to keep learning, keep training, keep finding mentors, keep reading books. Get in my Facebook group, the Online Marketing Guild. Okay, so it's just starting out. So we're just starting to get members in there now. And basically, what I'm going to be doing is Facebook Lives. I'll be sharing, but I'm going to be putting together videos, how-to videos, the things that I'm doing within my business. There's a lot of thought leaders out there already. I think the world's probably got enough thought leaders in